Well, I have a couple of my friends on the show here today. Oh, yeah, you've probably seen them before, like every week. And yeah, you guys have that in common too. Yeah, I say so. I been shocked and amazed that you guys are starting a new company. I'm mostly shocked and amazed because Larry is older than me and he's starting a new company, and I think he's doing it just to show off. Is that the main reason, Larry?
Randy, I'm not only older than you, I'm older than dirt. No, it's because I'm just so excited about what we're doing. I really want to share this. I think this is something that should be shared. I'm very excited about what we're doing. And I'm very excited to be in business with Brad because we formed a strong relationship over several years now. And I'm very, very impressed by what he's done with Rebellionaire and what he's done generally for the community. You know, he formed the Musketeers early on, and that that evolved into many things. And I just, just enjoy being part of this.
All right. Well, I can't say anything about your age, Bradford, because you're my children's age. Uh,
Mhm.
but that's okay. Um, you're also a little surprising that you're starting a new business because I mean you don't have anything else to do. I mean you were sitting around. You just I got to fill up my time somehow.
Yeah, I run a successful business. We're very focused on growing it pretty rapidly over the next 10 years. I do have a great team around me. But the what we're going to be talking about is private equity, venture capital. And this is something Larry and I have been doing together as a passion project on the side. So we already spend some time together every now and then when we're diving into a company that's a private company. This is time that I already have or I already make for doing this with Larry, and it's something he and I have been doing personally.
So you guys have made a few deals on private companies that you together you checked them out, made sure that you thought they were going to be something valuable, and is that kind of where you've started this thing?
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
back in 2021, there were a lot of people interested in getting into SpaceX, and I formed this email list. It was 160 people, $61 million in interest in SpaceX. And ultimately, I didn't want at that time the investor relations responsibility. So I ended up handing that off to a guy named Ben Holland, who was actually perfect for it because he already knew someone at SpaceX, and he's taken the ball and run with that. So Ben Holland and now Rob Maurer are with First Principles Group, and they invest in Musk Industries and things that are really close to those companies. So like um, a former Tesla person with Redwood Materials, JB Straubel, they have an investment in that, and an investment in Impulse Space, which is a former SpaceX rocket engineer.
Okay.
Um,
Tom Miller.
yeah, so we're not looking to tread on that territory or whatever of theirs. We're looking beyond that into other opportunities that we think are going to have really big impact on the world. And so that's why we call the company 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐿. So it's about extending the light of consciousness. So it's like that idea of Elon. Um, Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, I was gonna say exactly that. I mean, Lumosenti provides our view that we don't just want to invest money and make money from that. We want to do it in enterprises that really bring us closer to this goal of extending the light of human consciousness. So we want to build that which help build that which is really, really important to humankind, and which will provide the kinds of value to people that, Elon's companies bring. Obviously, we're not going to compete with any of Elon's companies or really focus on the areas that he's in, but we will extend where his activities, and that brings us to our first investment, which is going to be in the field of medical science, and in fact medical devices that will add tremendous value, particularly to young people who are really struggling in today's world. And so we feel that that's going to be a very important addition to humankind's ability to work in this new world that we're entering into. And in that field, we have some further plans. What we really want to do is afford individuals the opportunity to invest, not in startups, early stage startups, not in startups which are, before they're ready to be funded by the public, but in the early stages that they are ready to be funded by the public. And so 𝐒𝐮𝐚𝐲 is not going to be a venture fund where you put in your money and you hope that the 20 investments, one of them proves to be good and you'll make a little bit of money. Instead, we're going to work the way First Principles Group works, which has been very successful, in that we'll identify an investment we want to invest in. Brad and I will also be investing in our first investment. We're each investing in that, but we will invite people to apply to invest in the companies that we are investing in. And so if you want to be part of 𝐒𝐮𝐴, then all you have to do is sign up on our website, and we will send you the material each time we're going to invest in a company. And Brad will explain how you can, who is qualified to invest and who may invest, and who can be part of the 𝐒𝐮𝐴. But each individual investor will choose for his or herself whether they wish to invest in that particular investment and the extent to which they want to invest. And so just as the FPG guys, First Principle Group, have done with the investments in Elon's companies, this will be an investment in a startup company, but it'll be one company at a time. And so all under the umbrella of 𝐒𝐮𝐴.
So if we use SpaceX as an example, everybody that I know that's invested in Tesla would love to be invested in SpaceX, but most people, even if they're fairly well-to-do, have never invested in a private company. They don't know how to. They wouldn't know how to make the contact with the company with regard to that investment. They may not have enough really liquid capital to make the minimum that company is looking for. And they probably also question or wonder about how to get out of that investment once they get in, because even on larger companies, it's not always a liquid market for the shares. So you guys are, I think what I'm hearing is you're kind of taking all of that and saying, hey, we'll make that a lot simpler for you. We will make the contact. We'll make decisions about who we're going to invest or not. We will give you advice and direction with regard to how you can, how your cash can get out of the investment if necessary. All that will be a much simpler process. Am I close?
Close.
Yeah, I'd say pretty close. Yeah.
Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, so we can't decide for someone whether or not they invest. So they get to make that decision. So it's almost like, reason why I enjoy this is it's almost like being an episode of Shark Tank, but I'm not like fighting Larry over the deal. We just get to ask the founder questions and maybe like some key board members questions, or other investors who are already in the company, we can ask them questions. So it's like, and then people can decide whether or not to invest. But we definitely do recommend that people limit how much they put in on any private company, because your money can be stuck.
Yeah.
So very few companies are going to be like SpaceX, where you can probably sell your shares at any time at the last round's valuation.
Mhm.
Like you typically can't sell at what it's worth today or what it's going to be worth in the next round. You typically have to sell at a discount, even with SpaceX.
Mhm.
But that window is more open. So the expectation should generally be that your money is tied up until some kind of liquidity event, whether it's an IPO or purchase of the business, or some other transaction happens.
And the deals that we have our criteria for how we invest. Some of them are formal, some of them are informal, but in general, we would look to invest in a company where we feel comfortable that there's a 5-year or so time horizon to mature the investment. While we're investing in early stage, we're not investing before like a Series A, where there will be some institutional activity. And then we will look to, around as we move on forward, to bring our investors some liquidity in some period, in around the 5-year mark. That would be our target in general,
Mhm.
and that would be how we would, participate. And so that's kind of the horizon we're looking at for the deals that we're currently examining. But the beauty is that all you have to do is sign up with 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐻 on the website. All that means is you'll get our material. We
Mhm.
can't talk about these deals in public. We can't talk about them online, but you can sign up with us. Here's the website. You click on the Join Us and just put in your information. And then once you put in your information and joined us, then we will keep you abreast of what we're looking at and what we're doing. And here's the fun part: we'll bring you, to the meetings with the management and the team that we're investing in. That management will tell you about, what the opportunity is. They may bring some of their experts, some of their management along. You can ask them questions. We'll have a Q&A, and manage that. And there'll be a series of calls. I mean, we've already had, I think, 80 some inquiries. Yeah. Is that right, Bradford? From people who are known to us, certainly known to Bradford, because many of the inquiries already come from people who are invested in, that Brad manages their investments. So, we think we're going to have a very healthy group of investors, but each one will make up their decision on each investment. And, we'll explain our criteria for each investment, and they'll make a decision on their own without any pressure from us. In fact, if there's any pressure, it's, look, this is something you have to be very cautious about. It's a limited amount of your capital, and, be aware that it's not a liquid investment. So, we're not going to encourage them to do something that is not an intelligent allocation of their money. It's been a long time, over a decade, that I've allocated a small percentage of my investable funds into private equity. And the truth is that there are several deals that I've lost all. And but there are many deals that I've done extraordinarily well with, better than I've done in the public markets. And so on balance, if you look at my portfolio, the portfolio is significantly more has done significantly better than my public portfolio, which has done quite well. So, that's why I'm so excited about this.
And so people don't waste their time, Bradford, what's the qualification level on this?
Yeah, so accredited investor is someone who has $1 million in liquid net worth. So you can't include your real estate or any kind of private business in that net worth. So those things aren't liquid. Um, or you can qualify as an accredited investor if you have a certain level of income over a couple of years. And you can ask Grok about these limits as well. Um, the other way is to be a qualified purchaser. Now that hurdle is much higher, where typically someone has to have 5 million in liquid net worth in order to be considered a qualified purchaser.
Okay, all right.
And there's a lot of funds that limit participation to qualified purchasers only, or they limit a lot of deals to that, where we're not necessarily going to do that. But people do need to be accredited.
Do they end up owning the shares individually and you guys are just putting this together, or is this a fund?
It'd be in a special purpose vehicle, and each special purpose vehicle has ownership in one company.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be a fund. Each one would be their own. And private equity is a little awkward. So you're not going to have a statement that says you own X% of the company or you own X number of shares. Like I have several private equity investments. One of them is SpaceX, and I don't know. I don't know how many shares I own. I know a rough percentage based off of the valuation and how much money I put in at that valuation, but that's about it.
Yeah. To be a little bit more specific, you have a share in a special purpose vehicle.
Right.
That special purpose vehicle owns a percentage of stocks, actual shares in that investment.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can take your percentage of the SPV, calculate how many shares that's the equivalent of.
Right.
And that's the nature of it. And so Brad and I both participate in multiple different SPVs. So at First Principles Group, I think I'm in half a dozen in that range. And all I know is I get a statement from them telling me what the percentage of the SPV is and what its value is and what the current valuation is.
Got it.
So that's how it works. But it's become quite sophisticated and there's a fairly significant amount of practice around it, and of course it is regulated, by the authorities. So I think it's a pretty well-ordered market.
Yeah.
So now you guys are looking at a medical company as maybe one of your first, medical device company as one of your first. What other kinds of industries?
I can drop some hints about the first one. So
it's okay.
What they're trying to do is help people diagnose a certain disease that affects up to 10 million Americans a year.
Okay.
And most people go undiagnosed.
Wow.
So what their process may do is to diagnose that in 15 minutes. So it's a huge reduction in the cost, the time cost that it takes to diagnose someone. You don't need as high a caliber of a doctor to do so.
I see.
So it's a huge reduction of cost in money terms, but also time, and it's less invasive to the patient. So that's like that helps with some key things that I look for in any company. Like I want something that rapidly reduces costs. Like I like about Tesla, they've dropped costs in electric vehicles. They're the only profitable electric vehicle maker on the planet as far as making pure EVs. that I know of.
Hmm.
Maybe Ferrari or something.
No,
They make a few at a
Ferrari,
profit.
Ferrari's more profitable, but not in EVs, pure
But
EVs.
even the Chinese EV makers, I think most of them are not making cars at a profit. So like that's a key thing is low cost. But then Tesla also has this portion of their product where they're delivering at a much higher value with autonomy, bare minimum. Um, so you can't take any other car to any city in the world and have it do as well as a Tesla does
Right.
with the self-driving. So those are two things of low cost and high value.
Have you looked at any companies that might be able to diagnose Trump derangement syndrome?
Yeah, that would be very valuable. But
I knew that the company you're looking at couldn't have been the right one because it was only 10 million that have the disease. So
but we should also say about this company is that they've advanced quite significantly in the area of testing and of approvals, FDA approvals, which is critical. They're and we're investing along with some of the top firms in the technology, top market leading firms in that technology that have invested in the company, which gives us a lot of comfort. And the other thing is we are extremely delighted with the management, demeanor,
Yep.
the demeanor, the experience, the skill that they've shown in building the company to the Series A, where they're able to raise $20 million, and with lead investors that are leaders in the field. And so, and finally, they're fairly advanced in the approval cycle at the FDA, which is, when you're doing medical devices, that is such a long and expensive and difficult process. And so we think that the timing is right. We think the product is right. We think the management is right. And we think that their focus is so important to the health of our country.
Yeah.
That this fits the 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐝𝐻, our focus and our mission. So that's how we've chosen this as our first. And our second, the one that is a little bit further down the road, and we haven't yet qualified it fully, but it's even more exciting. It may be a little bit earlier and maybe a longer road, but it may actually be, a very significant prize. So that's where we are so far, but we think that those who inquire and join us will really enjoy meeting and speaking to the members of this company and their advisors and their experts.
in Bradford, you said there was some other industries that you might be looking at besides medical. Was there?
Yeah, just commenting on is space. I think you got to be aware of how the playing field is shifting with SpaceX and how you would expect it to shift.
Right.
So Starship is going to greatly reduce the cost to get mass to orbit, but there's a bunch of companies that are looking to get space stations up now.
Actual space stations.
Yeah, some of them are public, some are private. But if you think about, okay, well, space stations, they make money by charging rent. So I think the ISS makes something like 6.5 billion or something like that in rent. Um, and but there's demand for more potentially. But when you have more mass going to orbit, you're going to have multiple space stations, and that's potentially going to bring down your rents over time.
Yeah.
So maybe you have a really great idea as far as getting it up there low cost, um, and maybe get up there first, but then as more of these come online over time, the risk is that your rent's going to come down. So if you're an investor and you're wanting to get a dividend from the rental check they charge, to these, medicine companies and science companies or tourists or, whatever, those checks are going to potentially be coming down over time. So this
Yeah.
helps you think, we're thinking high level about, some of these opportunities, how the product market fit works.
Yeah, I think Brian Wong says that the Starship has more usable cubic feet in one Starship than the space station does, as of the International Space Station. So
Yeah.
one Starship could be a big apartment or a big commercial building in space with you guys renting out the spaces, huh?
Well, I mean, there are almost an unlimited number of opportunities that present itself when the cost of travel falls to, I mean, very low numbers. That is potentially possible. We know that Falcon 9 changed the equation on, these very large groups of satellites for communications, and Starlink was the result. We're going to see the same thing happen when the amount of space that you can get up there and, the cost decline. We're going to see, maybe factories in space, and the question is what will be manufactured and so on and so forth. So it's almost, it's the combinations and opportunities are so great that, it's just very exciting. And then it's also very risky.
Yeah.
Choose something early and then found yourself gazumped by some even better solution and so on. So it's a great opportunity, but it's also a little risky. And so we have to think about it and at great length. And so it's no different than, what's happening in the medical sciences community. I mean, ARK Invest has got this very large portfolio of advanced, medical technology companies. And, they're struggling in terms of finding value because it's been a very long road and it's taken, a long time, and it's unclear. I mean, I think it's going to be great in the end, but it's such a long cycle.
Yeah.
We would not invest in such frontiers. We would invest in shorter cycle,
Yeah.
So when we look at space, we have to balance that very carefully.
We're wanting funding rounds that are decisive. So not funding rounds is kind of like keep research going or kind of keep them going for the next 3 months. We want funding rounds that are going to do something decisive for the company to get them to a next crucial step in scaling the product or the service.
So we absolutely want to invest in companies where there's already a product market fit. And once we have that product market fit and a sense that the market is
Large.
vibrant and that the competition situation is right. So that all of that has to have happened for us to make that particular investment. And so, and the way you can determine product market fit, there are multiple different ways, but some of them are less evident than others. And so knowing how to find that, how to assess it. And the other thing that you have to understand is that everything we touch is going to be AI related. It's going to have employed AI in a unique, positive way that is, competitive and very difficult to compete against. So, because one of the things that AI does is it levels all. If you can use AI to solve a problem, everybody can solve that problem. So there has to be more than just AI. So we're not interested. I get about 100 calls, up to 100 calls a day, certainly well over that a week, of people who've got another app that they're adding AI to, so they take anything and they add AI to it, and they want to fund that. That's not really what we're going to be doing.
Got it. All right. Any loose ends that we need to make sure we cover here before we say adieu?
Join us.
Join you. Just join your mailing list. That's it. That's all they're doing is joining your mailing list. And
I haven't had your email yet, Randy.
So you haven't received my email yet.
I think it's a Gmail address, Larry.
I think it's publicly out there everywhere. So all right, guys. Wait a minute. I'm going to say 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐿𝐼𝐻. 𝐒𝐿𝐼𝐻 with an I.
𝐒𝐿𝐼𝐻.
Yes.
𝐶ENTI.
Light of life, something like that.
Yeah.
They're the two of you.
There we are.
Younger versions of both of you.
Let's see here. Oh, no, that doesn't work.
That doesn't work at all. I don't know what you were trying. I'm not going to edit that out. So all right, guys. So
thanks, Randy. Thanks.
So I do want to say this was not a paid spot. So Randy thought
what's wrong with you guys?
This would be interesting.
Come on.
Randy thought this would be interesting to have on his channel. So this is not a paid spot. And I'm hoping after we have our first investment, we can announce what that is. And but the way you can find out about it is to get on the list and hear the pitch and look at the materials.
There's no obligation at all. We don't expect anybody necessarily to invest, but we are very excited and we want to share.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on, and best of best of success with your new 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐻 project. And to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.